Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome, focus learners, to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a highly requested topic, pulling directly from Dr. Eric Berg's incredibly popular guide to healthy keto. Listen, if you've ever felt completely bogged down by complicated macro math, confusing diet rules, or just, those totally frustrating weight loss plateaus, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to strip away all the overwhelming details and just lay out a super simple, beginner-friendly playbook for burning belly fat fast. No complex equations, just practical, expert tips that actually work.
But before we get into the tips, we really have to ask, what is the actual secret here? Because a lot of people think it's about painstakingly calculating every single calorie or gram of food that goes into your mouth. But the real secret? It's actually about defeating a very specific villain in our bodies. It's not about starving yourself. It's about totally changing your internal environment.
And that change in your internal environment brings us to this fundamental definition: ketosis. Basically, ketosis is a state where your body produces ketones, which are just the natural byproducts of fat burning. But here is the absolute key to this entire explainer. You only generate these fat-burning ketones when you keep your insulin levels as low as possible. Lowering insulin isn't just a suggestion, it is literally the ultimate non-negotiable goal for maximum fat burning and shrinking your midsection.
Right, so let's dive into this roadmap. We'll quickly cover the main goal of lowering insulin, and then we'll walk through Dr. Berg's 5 practical tips: using veggie carbs, choosing fatty proteins, using strategic fats, intermittent fasting, and finally, how to make these changes last.
First up, the goal: lowering insulin by mastering the macros. Now, while some people out there say you can have 30 to 50 grams of carbs, we want to speed things up, so we're aiming to drop that below 20 grams.
Which brings us right to tip 1, veggie carbs. We're absolutely going to avoid the trap of obsessively counting every single gram. Instead, I want you to focus on this massive number right here: 7. You need to eat at least 7 cups of salad per day. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. That is a literal mountain of greens. And yeah, it is, but Dr. Berg shares a fantastic little trick for this. Use a salad cutter. You just take your big bowl of salad, chop it all down with the cutter, and suddenly, boom, it's a fraction of the size and incredibly easy to eat. Toss on some feta cheese, maybe a heavy pour of olive oil or a carb-free vinaigrette, and you're good to go.
Just look at the striking contrast between these two approaches. Counting traditional carbs is, let's be honest, incredibly frustrating. But eating vast amounts of veggie carbs, like those 7 cups of greens, is surprisingly easy. Why? Because leafy greens are almost entirely fiber, which means they essentially have a zero insulin response, zero. Plus, healthy keto isn't just about cutting carbs, it's about adding in really dense nutrients. These massive salads are packed with potassium, magnesium, and vitamin C. They literally prevent things like the keto flu, muscle cramps in your calves, and fatigue, all while helping heal that insulin resistance.
Moving right along to tip 2, fatty proteins. Again, keep the complex math out of it. Just aim for a palm-sized portion per meal, and pro tip, always eat your massive salad first so you don't overdo it on the meat.
Now this right here brilliantly illustrates one of the biggest diet myths out there. Seriously, for decades we've been told to eat lean protein, right? Skinless chicken breasts, low-fat whey protein shakes, that kind of stuff. But for keto, that is a huge trap. Lean protein actually stimulates an insulin response way more than fatty protein does. Take whey protein, for example. Because it has almost no fat, it spikes your insulin to a really high level. Instead, you want proteins that come naturally packaged with fat. Think fatty hamburger meat, salmon, sardines, or just leaving the skin on your chicken. The fat naturally buffers that insulin spike. It's a total game changer.
Okay, we've arrived at tip 3, strategic fats. Now, a really common question here is, wait, if 75% of my calories are coming from fat, won't that slow down my weight loss? Well, the short answer is yes, initially.
Let's walk through this timeline to see how it builds, because this is where people get super confused. Step 1, when you're a complete beginner, is to deliberately increase your dietary fat. We're talking adding pecans, macadamia nuts, avocado, and MCT oil to your meals. Why? So you stay incredibly full and can go longer between meals without snacking. Then comes step 2, usually after a few days. Your body adapts to burning fat, and suddenly, your appetite just completely disappears. Then comes the absolutely crucial part, step 3. Actually pay attention here, because this is where people mess up. Once your appetite is gone and you're fat adapted, you need to cut back on all those extra dietary fats. If you keep stuffing yourself with extra MCT oil and butter in the middle of the program, your body's just going to burn that dietary fat instead of the belly fat you actually want to lose. Makes sense, right?
So, that natural drop in appetite leads us perfectly into tip 4, intermittent fasting. Doing keto without fasting might only get your blood ketones to a mild 1 or 2, but combining it with fasting, that pushes them to a deep, fat-burning 4, 5, or even 6.
Here is the ideal timeline you want to work toward. You start by pushing your morning fast as long as possible, so effectively skipping breakfast. Then aim for your first meal around noon and your second meal at 6 p.m. Over time, as your body adapts, you'll naturally squish those meals closer and closer together until you might eventually just eat one meal a day, also known as OMAD. But guys, here's the golden rule, the exact place where so many people sabotage their progress. Do not eat if you are not hungry. People eat robotically just because the clock says it's lunchtime. But remember, every single time you eat, regardless of what it is, you trigger an insulin response and pop yourself right out of ketosis. If your body is happily feeding on your own belly fat, let it work. Don't interrupt it with a meal you don't even crave.
So the catch here is that when you compress your eating into just 1 or 2 meals, you obviously have way less opportunity to get your nutrients in. Plus, your body is burning through different nutrients a lot faster while in ketosis. You have to deliberately replenish them. You need unfortified nutritional yeast for vital B vitamins. You need the potassium and magnesium from those giant salads we talked about. And above all, you absolutely need extra sea salt. If you skip sea salt while fasting, I promise you, you are going to feel physically weak. So make a mental note of that right now. Salt your food.
Finally, we're at tip 5, make it last. Because what makes this an actual sustainable lifestyle isn't just a shrinking belly, it's the profound improvements you're going to feel in your cognitive function, your daily energy, and your overall mood.
To make it last, it has to be enjoyable. Dr. Berg highly recommends working in some pleasure food so you never feel deprived. Having half a bar of low-carb chocolate, like Lily's, after your first meal, or a keto-friendly dessert a few times a week is a totally valid way to keep things pleasurable. And there's a golden rule of thumb for this entire process. If it is working, don't change anything. Seriously, people start getting great results and then suddenly decide to tweak their plan for literally no reason. Keep going. You should only change things up if you hit a true plateau.
Let's wrap up this explainer with a quote from the source material that completely flips standard dietary advice on its head. Quote, "You don't lose weight to get healthy. You have to get healthy to lose weight." End quote. Just think about that for a second. We've been taught backward our entire lives. Healthy ketosis isn't just about weight loss. It's about healing the body, fixing that underlying insulin resistance, and flooding your system with high-quality nutrients. When you actually get your body healthy first, the weight loss naturally follows. It's inevitable. So, I'll leave you with this. What is stopping you from healing your metabolism starting